Hi again, everyone, and it's Michael Ting back with another video on PDF accessibility. So today we have an extra exciting lesson on the Content tab. And I say extra exciting because it is precisely not extra exciting. The Content tab is what I believe to be one of the most difficult topics in PDF accessibility. Um, Luckily, it doesn't come up too much, but it's very much worth it to know how to manipulate the PDF content on the page using that tab if your PDF isn't behaving very nicely, let's just say. Either way, let's just get into this specific PDF here. And you can see that if you've been around PDFs a bit and have done accessibility on PDFs, you'll see that this one should not be particularly hard. It is simply text and maybe one image at the top, but mostly text means our job is already very easy. In fact, you can see that a lot of the boxes look like they're already in the right place in the right order. However, what I'd like to point out is you might just immediately notice there's a lot of strange blank spots, blank spaces in between all of these paragraphs. Now, this could be the topic of another video, but this is an unfortunate consequence of when somebody makes a PDF in Microsoft Word or some other word processor and adds a ton of blank spaces using the Enter key in between all the paragraphs, which is very, very common. It's something that almost everybody does, but unfortunately, it's sort of the lazy way of doing things in that you're not. Word documents weren't really designed to have these blank spaces in here. As a result, when it got exported to a PDF, those blank spaces remained actual blank spaces and will now be read to the screen reader as being blank spaces, which is not within the WCAG guidelines, essentially, just because the screen reader will just say there's a blank space here, there's a blank space here, there's a blank space here a couple times in a row, which is not only confusing to the screen reader, maybe they think they're missing something, but also just annoying in case you're trying to navigate through the document. You have to skip through a bunch of blank spots to get to the actual paragraphs you're interested in. But enough rambling about that for now. Let me actually show you one way to fix this. Because as of right now, I've only shown you how to manipulate these tags, and you can see that each tag here became one of the spots. And even if I delete the tags, these spaces still exist. So we're going to have to delete these, not just the tags, but the actual content on the page. So we have to move like one layer deeper. We can't just remove the boxes around the content. We have to remove the content itself. So here is where I finally reveal the Content tab. If you look inside here, this is everything that makes up the PDF, everything that shows up here. If I open up one of these containers, you can see that there's a bunch of text living inside each one. And the text here is very separated. For some reason, the Content tab likes to do this a lot, where it separates all the text into each tiny little element. I guess that's kind of just showing as fine grain as possible. But luckily, a lot of the text blocks are contained in these big containers. And then you can see I have a bunch of different kinds of containers. One for these, and the one we're interested in is these paragraph ones, these P ones. The way we delete the content on the page is simply by going through each one of these containers. You could even go into each container and delete things within the container. But why not just delete the entire container itself? We would be left with empty containers, which would be, why not just delete those empty containers, just like how you are meant to delete empty tags that don't contribute overall. And I'm just going to highlight every single one of the blank paragraph tags, the ones without any words after them to indicate that something lives inside them. And all I have to do is right-click or control-click, and then hit delete. And now, if I go back to my reading order tab, ta-da, no more blank spots. So that's because I have, once again, deleted these blank spots from even existing on the page for the screen reader to hit them with the reading order. So because they literally just don't exist on the page anymore, they can't be read by the reading order. So you can see already that the document is already looking, in my opinion, quite a bit nicer. A lot less confusing, we only have 6 elements on the page rather than 14, I think it was at the previous step. So either way, very nice. We can do the same process to the second page. So you can see on the second page that there's even more strange blank spaces because I'm not sure, something about the end of the end of the image of the signature being part of it. There are a lot more here, so it might take me a second to highlight all of them more, but bear with me. Oh, and it's scrolling me up every time I click one of them. Very annoying. But either way, we've clicked all of them. Time to delete all of them. So there are a lot more in this tab, so it'll take me a bit longer to select all of them, but bear with me. Alright, and that should be it. Yep. I suppose the reading order is a bit out of whack, so you know what, let me just move that around. This is a good review for how to manipulate the reading order, but you can once again see how simple it is. I just need to move this 10 image to where its signature should be, to where the signature should be, and this one moves up here. Okay, that's all I need to do. Great. One more thing I'd like to point out about the content tab. You can see that, not only are words and spaces represented, but these images are, any images as well. And of course, we have the image here of this UC seal of University of California. Let's say I didn't want to write an alt text for this image, because as of right now, if I run the checker, Acrobat will start yelling at me for this image that I don't have an alt text for. I suppose I also don't have an alt text for this image, but that's a little easier to fix. And I do want an alt text for this image, so Jerry Kang. This image, the way I'm going to have to fix it, or let's say I don't want to write an alt text for this image because I don't want this image to be considered part of the document at all. Let's say this seal was repeating at the top of every page and I didn't want to include it every time. The way I can remedy that is through what I call artifacting, or turning something into an artifact with the Content tab. So I'm here at the Content tab once again. All I have to do is right-click or control-click any image that I want to make into an artifact, and just say Create Artifact. What artifacts are elements on the page that we don't want the screen reader to consider real things, quote-unquote. By that, I mean we don't want the screen reader to be able to hit those elements. I suppose the term artifact came from when people scan documents and they have a bunch of like coffee stains or something on their page, and that gets interpreted as some kind of weird text that isn't really text, and you want to be able to consider that as a scanning artifact of when you tried to scan the page and you got a little something extra that isn't part of the actual document. But it still works just as well here for making sure that this image is not part of the reading order or anything. So you can see that the image is still not part of the reading order. I could do the same to one of these images that was already part of the reading order. Perhaps that'd be more demonstrative. So let's say I take this image here of this final signature, and let's say I want to create an artifact from it. All I have to do is, I suppose if you want to, you can take the image outside the container. Let me delete the empty container that resulted from that. And then right-click it, Create Artifact. And now, if I go into the reading order panel, boom. Now the image is not being read in the reading order. If you want to un-artifact something, let's say you accidentally artifacted something that you want to recover, all you have to do is go into the artifact container, take it out, delete this artifact tag, and then I can just re-tag the signature again as if I were just adding it for the first time. Oh, very nice. And you can even see it went into the right place. Cool. So yeah, that's all I want to show for this intro to the Content Tab series. There will be more videos in the future about this, simply because there's a lot of topics to cover with this. So stay tuned for those. But for now, thank you for watching.